Good morning, y'all. So this is going to be our discussion of what we're going to do in reference to the hydrogen spectrum lab, and that is 12A in the lab manual, by the way. So this PowerPoint is, you can find it on the Pages tab in Canvas, and this PowerPoint goes through, the basic process of how you go through and doing the various calculations. But the main thing is understanding that you're going to be working with the hydrogen spectrum, which is based off of the hydrogen gas, and you can see in the tube here, the gas itself is illuminated as the power is turned on, and this gas has a certain emission spectrum, which you can see right here. The emission spectrum are these individual lines that you observe from the diffraction grading, and I'll show you this in the lab too, so you sort of understand it with what's actually happening. So in terms of the experiment, you're going to go through the PowerPoint, and you're going to measure the wavelengths that are observed within that spectrum, and then you'll use those the necessary equations to go through and actually physically calculate what the individual wavelengths are and how much energy is released from each of those points of light. So we're going to be using Bohr's equation, which is represented by here, and so to calculate the energy, you're going to use Rydberg's constant and then the values of the energy, and these values are the principal quantum numbers that we talk about in lecture 1 through 7. And so now we do have Rydberg's equation. I'm just going to write this here so you can see that it does relate to something that we did cover in the lecture. So Rydberg's equation. All right, so the energy is equal to negative R sub h. So notice that you still have that constant. So, and that's going to be 2.18 times 10 to the minus 18 joules. All right, and then you're going to times this by 1 over n final squared minus 1 over n initial squared. So that's how you calculate the energy. Now keep in mind that you are going to have to calculate the energy values for each of these, and you'll see that in the table that you fill in the lab handout sheets. But for the long term case, this is the better way of going about solving for it. So in the lab, delta E is equal to E final minus E initial. And so as you calculate the energies for each of these individual ones using the Bohr's equation, which I showed you in the PowerPoint slide, you're actually going to be solving for the energies, and then you'll subtract them given these values. But if you take Rydberg's equation just simplifies it. You're already doing the subtraction within the parentheses that you see here. So whether you use it this way in this equation up here, or if you use Rydberg's equation, that's entirely up to you. But one of the things that you ought to recognize is that the sign for both for energies, that whether you calculate using Rydberg's equation or Bohr's equation, the energy will always end up with a negative sign, because you're seeing light being emitted from whatever's happening. In this case, the hydrogen gas being exposed to some voltage. All right. So now going along with this, we can calculate the energy using either of these two equations, but the ultimate goal here is to calculate the wavelength for each transition being studied in the Bohr's model. Okay, so now these transitions, again, they're going to be from like 7 to 6, 7 to 5, 7 to 4, 7 to 3, 7 to 2, 7 to 1. and then it'll go to 6 to 5, 6 to 4, 6 to 3, and then it goes to 5 to 4 to 5 to 3, 5 to 2, and it goes all the way down. You have this sort of like this pyramid that you're going to form, and so each of these energy values that you're going to calculate can be then used to calculate what the wavelength and the frequencies are. So energy. So there's two more equations that we're going to look at here. Energy is equal to h times nu, and then the speed of light, which is big C here, is equal to lambda times nu. Now, if you notice here, the frequency shows up in both of these equations. So what we would do here is we're going to rearrange this. We're going to solve for the frequency, and then we're going to solve for lambda, which is your wavelength, using the speed of light and the frequency that you just calculated from the second equation. So this is your first, this is a second, and this is your third equation. All right, and so you go through these individual steps to solve for the wavelength for that specific transition. Now, again, these transitions can be 7 to 6, 7 to 5, 7 to 4. So this represents your in initial, and then this represents your in final. So that way you know how to plug that back into the Rydberg's equation, which is above. So now once you solve for the wavelength, okay, what you're going to have is a unit that's expressed as in meters, and that goes back to the fact that the speed of light has a 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. All right, and so notice that again the speed of light has a units of meters. The seconds are going to cancel out with the frequency, and so when we talk about wavelength, we don't typically express that in meters. So what you're going to do is convert your meters into nanometers. Okay. Now the way you go about doing this is just making sure that you know what the value is for the meters from the calculation above, and then there are 1 times 10 to the 9th nanometers for every meter. So you just multiply that number across, and that will give you whatever value it will be in nanometers. So one of the things that this lab requires you to do is a whole different number of calculations. So as you're doing this, you should do this on a separate sheet of paper, and then just have your work shown on that paper, and then use the tables that I give you in the lab handout sheet and just fill those in with the calculated values for the energy that you calculate from this equation, and then the final wavelength, which is expressed in nanometers. So there's only really two things that I'm going to be looking for, but I would like for you to show your work on a separate sheet of paper, so that way I can correct it if need be. So again, just kind of glancing through this, you'll see how the charts are filled in here, and then this is going to be the final thing that you do. So you'll have the energies that are expressed, and then you'll also have the other table, which is where you put your wavelengths in once you calculate those. So notice that the blacked out here, we don't fill that in. That doesn't happen because 6 to 6, 5 to 5, there's no transition there. It's the same value, but you would go from 7 to 6, 7 to 5, 7 to 4, all the way down to 1, and then 6 to 5, 6 to 4, 6 to 3. And you see how it's got this cascading effect here in terms of the energy that you calculate and the wavelength. So you got to calculate the energy first, and then you calculate the wavelength second using those equations that we talked about just a minute ago. So, all right, now so part B is all about quantum mechanics, and so you'll want to pull up the PowerPoint for quantum mechanics if needed. So, but for right now, the first half of tomorrow's experiment is based around the hydrogen spectrum, which is 12A. That'll take you the bulk of the time because there's so many calculations. But then 12B is based around the PowerPoint that we used for quantum mechanics. So, all right, I'll see y'all tomorrow, and start working on it if you have time. Thanks.